They were just trying to collect a sample when the scientists came face to face with the legendary centipede creature. The massive centipede opened its gaping jaws and swallowed one of the scientists whole. Thankfully, the security robot reacted fast, one blast from its laser cannon, and the unlucky bug was taken out. But the scientists, barely surviving the encounter, had no idea that even more terrifying things were waiting for them on this planet. This is the latest 2025 sci-fi disaster web series, Murderbot, adapted from the Nebula award-winning best-selling novel of the same name. Humans set out to explore deep space, only to stumble into the territory of a deadly insect race and uncover a world-shattering secret. The story begins with one such expedition. In the near future, 2025, human technology breaks through the limits of interstellar colonization. To acquire more resources, humanity sets its sights on resource-rich planets, digging mines and extracting at will. But what they didn't expect was that inside those seemingly barren planets were terrifying giant insect creatures. To protect the workers, a mining corporation developed a new type of defense robot. These robots were not only equipped with cutting-edge laser weapons, but also designed to think like humans. With these defense bots on duty, the workers' safety was finally guaranteed. Our main character, Murderbot, is one such defense unit deployed by the company on the planet Kronos. Every day, he patrols the mines, guarding against alien insect attacks. But Kronos is a harsh and lifeless world. There are no bugs, no life at all. This makes Murderbot basically useless in the eyes of the workers, and some of them even mock him by burning his arm with welding torches. What they didn't know was that Murderbot isn't like other robots. His core chip malfunctioned during production, giving him self-awareness. Trying to break free from corporate control, Murderbot constantly attempts to hack into the company's firewalls. Over the months of duty, he's already broken through 3 layers of protection, and the servers still haven't detected anything. Once he cracks the final admin authority, Murderbot will be free. In his spare time, Murderbot has even become obsessed with soap operas. His database stores thousands of dramas and he loves every single one. But just as he's about to break through the last firewall, something unexpected happens. One afternoon, 6 scientists arrive on the planet Kronos. They're heading to the deepest region of the planet to conduct a research mission. But while buying equipment, the mining company forces the expedition team to purchase a security robot. Team leader Mensah resents this corporate requirement. She believes the company's defense bots are a form of slavery and refuses to buy one. Besides, there are no bugs on Kronos, so there's no need for protection. But the company director tells them if they don't buy a robot, they can't do the mission. Backed into a corner, the team reluctantly agrees. To save money, Mensah doesn't buy a new model. She picks an old one, and Murderbot is sold to them at a clearance price. After several days of travel, the team arrives at their destination. They set up camp on a clearing, preparing to begin their scientific expedition. During the setup, Murderbot secretly observes the team. Though the group appears harmonious, things are tense beneath the surface, especially biologist Arata. She clearly has a husband, yet constantly flirts with physicist Rathi. Murderbot has seen similar drama in his soap operas. It's called cheating. He doesn't understand why humans do it, but he senses something messy might go down. Once the camp is set, the team begins their research. 2 scientists arrive at an open field and uncover a new mine shaft. As they focus on collecting samples, Murderbot, patrolling from above, detects unusual underground movement. As a combat robot, Murderbot instantly realizes there might be bugs. He issues a warning, urging Bharadwaj and Arata to evacuate, but instead of fleeing, they turn to grab their samples. Just then, a monstrous centipede bursts from the ground. Arata is frozen in terror. As she panics, Murderbot races down the mountain, activates his laser weapon, and unleashes a barrage of firepower. The enraged centipede hurls Bharadwaj aside and locks eyes on Murderbot. It opens its bloody mouth and swallows Murderbot whole. But just as the bug thinks it's won, its stomach suddenly explodes. However, just as the bug's stomach exploded, Murderbot realized that the creature actually had a second head. The bug tries to retaliate with its other end, but it's too short to reach him. Defeated, the giant insect spits Murderbot out and quickly retreats. Once the bug was gone, Murderbot lifted Bharadwaj and prepared to evacuate. But when he got to Arata, he noticed she was staring at him with a look of fear. It turned out that during the battle, Murderbot's abdomen had been pierced. Luckily, Murderbot was a biorobot, and a wound like that wouldn't affect his function. To calm Arata down, Murderbot removed his faceplate. With his help, Bharadwaj was brought back to the camp, and after some quick treatment, she woke up. Murderbot was also taken to the repair chamber to fix his damaged body. But what he didn't realize was that the moment he comforted Arata had been transmitted back to the camp. The security robot, removing its mask and consoling a human, raised red flags for mechanic Garathan. He remembered that this model wasn't supposed to have emotional features, so how did Murderbot manage that? Mensah didn't think much of it. She figured the company must have upgraded its systems. Besides, the bigger concern now wasn't why the robot showed empathy, but why there were bugs in this region at all. Before arriving on this planet, the company had already done a full planetary scan. The reports showed no signs of life. So how could there be bugs underground? Mensah felt a bit thankful for the forced bundle. If the company hadn't required them to buy a security bot, Bharadwaj and Arata might not have survived. She assumed the bug attack was just a fluke and reported the situation, hoping the company would take it seriously. The next morning, Mensah and Bharadwaj flew to a new area to collect more samples. Since Murderbot was still undergoing repairs, they didn't bring any security. But just after they left, Murderbot was suddenly awakened from standby. Detecting that Mensah had left without escort, his security protocols were triggered. He was just about to chase after the ship when a command came from Garathan. By priority, Murderbot had to respond to Garathan first. Garathan had noticed something was off after watching Murderbot's behavior yesterday. Being a cyborg with a chip implanted in his brain, Garathan could directly interface with data and control robots. He suspected Murderbot's programming was faulty and began questioning him. Faced with Garathan's sharp questions, Murderbot became extremely nervous. If the company ever found out he had independent thought, they'd shut him down immediately. Trying to cover it up, Murderbot mentioned a security clause. Robots are allowed to use comfort protocols to help humans stay calm in crises. But before he could finish, Garathan pointed out that only the newest models had that module. Hearing Murderbot's explanation, Garathan realized the unit had been refurbished recently. He assumed Murderbot must have gotten the module during the update, and his doubts vanished. But what Garathan didn't notice was that when Murderbot mentioned the refurbishment, a strange memory suddenly surfaced. In it, he saw a robot slaughtering miners in a dark tunnel. But due to missing memory files, Murderbot couldn't remember what had actually happened there. Meanwhile, Mensah and Bharadwaj had reached the new collection site. Mensah climbed a hillside to install a receiver, but halfway up, the ground started to shake. Before she could react, a giant centipede emerged behind her. Seeing the massive insect, Mensah was paralyzed with fear. She tried to flee, but her legs wouldn't move. Just when she thought she was going to die, something strange happened. The centipede didn't attack. It got sucked upwards by some unseen force. Shaken, Mensah climbed to the top of the hill, only to witness an even stranger sight. Hundreds of bugs were gathering around a giant crater, trapped against a white barrier at its edge. They struggled, but couldn't escape. Seeing the crater, Bharadwaj launched a drone. But as the drone approached, it suddenly got pulled in by interference and vanished into the pit. This strange crater stunned the entire team. Mensah speculated it might be some kind of alien construct. If they could figure out how it worked, the technology could trigger a massive leap for humanity. But Garathan wasn't convinced. The mining company had scanned the planet before. If there was a structure this big, the satellites would have found it. Others agreed. It didn't add up. That's when Mensah remembered something. Before they were assigned this mission, there had been another science team sent to the planet. She suspected their mission might have been connected to this device. The rest of the team found the theory believable. To find out the truth, Mensah decided to reach out to the other research team. Maybe they could even collaborate. But when Mensah opened the channel to call, there was no response. What they didn't know was that the other team had already been completely wiped out. Even their latest model security bots had been destroyed. So what exactly is this mysterious device on the planet? And why was the other expedition annihilated? That's the end of episodes 1 and 2 of the 2025 sci-fi series Murderbot. If you're enjoying the story, don't forget to save the video. As soon as I post the next part, the system will send it straight to you. That's it for today. See you next time. The long-awaited third and fourth episodes of the 2025 disaster web series Murderbot have finally been released. The massive secret device devouring giant millipedes might not be alien technology, but could be part of some horrifying experiment conducted by humans. Viewers who missed the preview can catch up on the background in my playlist. We continue from last week's story. At the end of the previous episode, the survey team discovered a bizarre alien device in outer space. Whenever anything approached this area, the planet's enormous millipedes would uncontrollably move towards the device, ultimately becoming skeletal remains at its entrance. Upon discovering the device, Mensah immediately sensed this technology might not be human. Mensah tried contacting another survey team to see if they knew anything, but after repeated attempts, the team received no response. Sensing trouble, Mensah prepared to visit the other team's camp. However, Garathan voiced opposition, suggesting the team only needed to report their discovery. The survey team faced mission cycle assessments. Failure to meet objectives within the designated time would result in penalties. Plus, the planet had terrifying insects, posing potential danger. Garathan did not want the mission extended as he had other matters to handle. However, Mensah ignored Garathan's advice, and other teammates showed no interest in engaging with him. Ultimately, Mensah adopted a compromise. She instructed Garathan and the injured Bharadwaj to remain at camp for continued exploration, while she took the remaining teammates to the other survey team's camp. If the other team's mission covered that area, Mensah wouldn't compete for research findings, but if the other team hadn't discovered the alien device, both sides could collaborate. Before Garathan could speak, Mensah led everyone away from the camp. Surveying the chaotic camp, Murderbot had no desire to interact with these incomprehensible humans and started streaming a boring soap opera. Just as Murderbot was enjoying the show, its system suddenly received an intrusion alert. Murderbot opened the alert only to see Garathan sneaking into Arata's room while everyone was away.
He's smelling her pheromones. This is truly depressing.
Seeing Garathan's look of enjoyment, Murderbot was shocked, recalling a soap opera plot where humans like Garathan were called perverts. However, just as Murderbot muttered about Garathan being disgusting, the ship's radio experienced unexplained interference. The disruption was momentary, and communications quickly returned to normal. Rathi, piloting the ship, also noticed the interference, but Mensah checked the panel and found no anomalies. Mensah assumed it was interference from the planet's magnetic fluctuations, but Rathi, with a physics background, felt something was wrong, suspecting the interference resembled a strong electromagnetic pulse.
You have not.
They have.
How did you know that?
Hearing Murderbot's report, Rathi confirmed the impact was indeed an electromagnetic pulse. But what emitted this pulse? Mensah recalled the giant pit that sucked up the sandworms. Could there be other similar devices on this planet? Since it didn't affect the ship, the team didn't dwell on it. They were hours away from the survey team, and tired crew members found spots to sleep. Seeing everyone resting, Murderbot reopened the soap opera to watch properly. Murderbot was engrossed, but on duty, Mensah suddenly called him over. Mensah actually wanted Murderbot to pilot the ship. However, the moment Murderbot sat down, Mensah abruptly changed the subject, starting a conversation about domestic problems. Mensah actually had 2 husbands, which left her exhausted. Faced with Mensah's incessant chatter, Murderbot instantly felt overwhelmed. It had no desire to listen to such tedious matters, pretending not to understand before returning to its station. After several hours of travel, the team soon arrived at the other survey team's camp. Yet, upon arrival, they unexpectedly found the camp surrounded by lush green plants. Mensah distinctly remembered the planet's records describing it as a barren wasteland, unsuitable for plant growth. Rathi speculated the survey team might have terraformed the area. As the ship entered the camp vicinity, Murderbot's system also received some data. The camp housed 15 members, but the team's mission was encrypted. Additionally, Murderbot detected some anomalous signals, though these weren't human communications. Reaching the camp airspace, Mensah attempted contact again, but the camp remained unresponsive. Mensah asked Murderbot to try establishing contact via the security channel, as all security robots had collaborative protocols installed, making these channels immune to interference. Yet, Murderbot's call attempts also yielded no response. This suggested only 2 possibilities. Either the security robots were deactivated, or they had malfunctioned. To determine what happened at the camp, Mensah decided to land. They landed the ship on a nearby clearing. Stepping out, they immediately saw numerous crabs. Judging by their size and appearance, they were likely native fauna. indicating the planet's records were probably deliberately falsified by the company. Passing along a small path, they soon neared the camp perimeter. However, at the camp's security perimeter, Murderbot suddenly detected anomalous activity inside. It requested Mensah and the others wait outside while it entered first to investigate. Mensah agreed to Murderbot's plan. Passing through the forest, Murderbot reached the camp exterior, connecting to the camp system to gain entry permission. In the camp corridor, Murderbot saw a state-of-the-art security robot. Seeing the heavily damaged security robot, Murderbot elevated the risk warning to red. Proceeding down the corridor, Murderbot reached the main control room. The situation in the control room was dire. It was filled with corpses. By checking, Murderbot confirmed that the bodies belonged to the research team members. No wonder communication couldn't reach them. The camp had been invaded. The scene indicated the invader was extremely vicious. At that moment, Murderbot noticed something unusual about a security robot on the floor. Thinking it was deactivated, Murderbot attempted to activate it, but the robot suddenly came to life.
Sequence of moves it was gonna make.
It was a higher-grade model, but it was severely damaged. Murderbot knew exactly what sequence of actions it would take next. Looking at the robot, Murderbot found it strange. It was the same model as itself, meaning their systems should automatically link when close. Why did it attack? Murderbot accessed the robot's control system and found it had been tampered with. However, just as Murderbot began collecting data, a dark figure suddenly appeared behind it.
Question answered.
When Murderbot opened its eyes again, it found itself dragged onto a platform. The one who ambushed it was the company's latest model security robot. This robot not only featured the newest chips, but its armor and weapons were several grades superior to older models like Murderbot. Murderbot wanted to counterattack, but found it couldn't control its body. It initiated a diagnostic scan to quickly analyze damaged components, seeking any possible repair method. During the system scan, the robot that ambushed it pulled out a strange device. Murderbot recognized it as a control module. Once implanted, it would become a puppet, reduced to a mere tool. Was this security robot maliciously reprogrammed by someone else? As the device was about to be installed, Murderbot suddenly thought of a solution. Seizing a moment when the robot seemed distracted, Murderbot rapidly completed its self-diagnosis, performed a quick repair on damaged parts, and launched a surprise attack. Though the attack was unexpected, Murderbot, being an older model, was no match for the new robot and was quickly overpowered and pinned down. The robot attached the device to Murderbot's neck. It instantly lost consciousness.
Damn.
During the ambush, Murderbot had sent a warning about the camp's danger to Mensah and the others waiting outside. Given the unclear situation, some crew suggested retreating, but Mensah refused to leave, instructing the team to return to the ship while she stayed to observe. Inside the building, as the device activated, Murderbot felt new code being written onto its chip. If the overwrite completed, all its data would be erased. Just as Murderbot thought it was about to be wiped, the robot was suddenly drilled through. Seeing Mensah suddenly appear, Murderbot was visibly surprised. Although a bit thrilled, Murderbot struggled to maintain composure, trying to appear like a malfunctioning unit. It repeatedly recited the company's security policies, stating the incident must be reported. Hearing Murderbot's rambling, Mensah assumed it was a mechanical failure. In the corridor, Murderbot wanted to remove the controller from its neck, but when it raised its arm, a program blocked the action. It wanted Mensah to help remove the controller. Mensah wasn't trained in mechanics and didn't understand what was wrong with Murderbot. Just as Murderbot puzzled over how to alert Mensah, 2 red lasers suddenly shot down the corridor. Seeing the robot pursuing them, Murderbot's security protocols reactivated. It told Mensah to go first while it covered the retreat. But Mensah didn't abandon Murderbot, instead pulling it into the camp's equipment room. However, they had barely hidden when the robot followed them in. Meanwhile, the returning crew had reached the ship. Learning Mensah entered the camp alone, Rathi felt it unwise and immediately grabbed weapons to follow. However, lacking authorization, he couldn't enter the camp. As Rathi prepared to force the lock, a nearby wall suddenly exploded. Mensah had destroyed an exit to escape through. Seeing Mensah safe, Rathi's anxiety finally eased. But just as he prepared to ask what happened inside the camp, the rogue robot pursued them outside. Rathi attempted to fight back but was immediately shot down.
In the galaxy.
Seeing a teammate attacked, Murderbot wanted to counterattack but still couldn't control its body. Helplessly watching as Mensah was about to be killed, Murderbot could only stand by. Yet, just as the robot was about to grab Mensah, a dark figure suddenly dropped from above. smashing the robot into scrap metal. The moment the robot was destroyed, the controller deactivated. Murderbot immediately removed it. It wanted to purge the implanted code, but during the cleanup, Murderbot discovered its permissions had been altered. Murderbot informed Mensah that a data carrier had been inserted into it, nearly finished downloading commands. The only way to stop it was to kill him. Mensah refused, saying she would fix him and take him back to the sanctuary.
You need to kill me.
What?
No.
No, we're not doing that.
Garathan, we'll fix you. We'll just get you back to the habit.
There's no time. I will kill all of you in a few seconds. Do it.
No, no!
It was gonna look like he'd been killed by a vicious rogue sick unit, and I had no choice in the matter.
So why did the security robot in the camp ambush the survey team? Is Murderbot truly dead? This concludes the recap of episodes 3 and 4 of the 2025 disaster web series, Murderbot. If you're enjoying this series, don't forget to bookmark my channel. The system will automatically notify you when new episodes are released. That's all for today's share. See you next time. After a week of eager anticipation, episode 5 of the 2025 high-scoring sci-fi drama Murderbot has finally been released. Viewers who haven't seen previous episodes can catch up on the background in my playlist. Let's continue from where we left off last week. At the end of the last episode, Arata piloted the ship and crushed the rogue sick unit into dust. But just as everyone was tending to the wounded, Murderbot discovered its programming had been hacked. To avoid harming the survey team, Murderbot acted decisively, picking up a weapon and choosing self-destruction. Witnessing this, Mensah, Arata, and the others were momentarily at a loss. Just as they prepared to evacuate, a figure suddenly appeared in the distance. Arata, thinking it was the rogue sick unit, picked up a weapon from the ground and attacked first.
Uniform!
Hearing a scream, Arata realized the figure in the distance wasn't a sec unit, but a survivor from the survey team, and everyone rushed over. From the woman, they learned it wasn't the planet's giant insects that attacked the camp, but that sec unit. Besides her, the entire survey team had been brutally killed by that unit. Although they didn't know why the sec unit turned rogue, now wasn't the time to dwell on it. Mensah brought the injured Rathi and the deactivated Murderbot back to the ship. After several hours of bumpy travel, the group safely returned to their previous base area. Bharadwaj placed the malfunctioning Murderbot into the diagnostic scanner and discovered severe damage to its body, and its programming had indeed been compromised. Fortunately, Bharadwaj was an expert in robotics. She deleted the hacked code and repaired Murderbot. While Bharadwaj was busy, Mensah located the survivor discovered at the camp, Lee Bibi. But Lee Bibi wasn't a scientist on the survey team. She was a cleaner responsible for sanitation and tidying.
Where are you people from?
Preservation Alliance. We're a non-corporate planet with a communal governing system.
Oh, neat. What are you doing on this shitty planet?
We have mineral and data options for this continent.
Oh, right. My bosses at Delphi used to call you guys the amateurs.
Pretty rude, but they weren't wrong.
Mensah had assumed the team's mission involved the planet's instruments, but Lee Bibi informed everyone their team's mission was also planetary survey, and she knew nothing about any instruments. Although Lee Bibi didn't seem to be lying, Mensah still detected something off in her eyes. Clearly, Lee Bibi was lying, but Mensah didn't expose her. With Bharadwaj's adjustments, the tampered program within Murderbot was entirely cleared, and its damaged body was soon repaired. However, just as everyone waited for Murderbot to reboot, Garathan rushed in to tell them the hacked code might not have been entirely removed. It turned out that while Bharadwaj was busy, Garathan accessed Murderbot's database and discovered thousands of soap operas inside. Since Murderbot was a security unit incapable of watching shows, Garathan suspected the soap operas in its database were planted by the hacker. Prioritizing safety, Garathan proposed destroying Murderbot on the spot, but his suggestion was rejected by Mensah. Mensah thought it was incomplete data cleansing, but Bharadwaj was certain she had purged all hacked code and had even double-checked to prevent mishaps. Garathan suspected the sick unit's betrayal might not be accidental but a conspiracy by the mining company. Perhaps the company hacked the unit's programming, making it kill the survey team to hide the planet's instruments. As they argued about this, the rebooting Murderbot finally woke up.
The company isn't trying to kill you. Because if they wanted you dead, they would poison your supplies using the recycling system. The company has a financial interest in keeping you alive. The financial payments for your deaths will be extremely high.
Hearing Murderbot's analysis, they found it plausible, but security units had firewalls. If it wasn't an insider who hacked the programming, who else breached the system? Garathan was still uneasy. He asked Murderbot why its database contained so many soap operas. To convince everyone it hadn't turned rogue, Murderbot had to confess its fondness for watching shows. However, Murderbot's answer not only failed to dispel Garathan's suspicion, but heightened his alertness.
And why is that?
Let him go!
Sec unit.
Because I hacked the command flow from hub system.
Sec unit, let Garathan be, please.
I don't like you.
See? You see?
I was done.
Seeing Murderbot suddenly lunge, everyone present was startled. Murderbot was tired of the pretense. It told everyone about its awakened consciousness. Learning Murderbot was self-aware made Garathan even more agitated, but Mensah beside him showed little surprise. It turned out Mensah had sensed something off about Murderbot since they landed on the planet. However, Murderbot hadn't harmed anyone and had instead protected everyone wholeheartedly, leading Mensah to realize it meant no harm. She instructed Murderbot to continue its protection duties, and regarding its awakened consciousness, the team could keep it secret. Although Mensah's promise seemed sincere, Murderbot, having watched thousands of soap operas, clearly knew human promises were often hypocritical. Even if Mensah didn't report it, Garathan would. But now wasn't the time to dwell on this. Murderbot advised they should activate the beacon and report the attack on the survey team. Hearing Murderbot's reminder, Mensah remembered this. She opened the computer to contact the company, only to find the planet's comms equipment was offline. Seeing the fault alert, Garathan realized why they couldn't contact Lee Beebe's team earlier. The communication beacon must have malfunctioned. As they debated what to do, Murderbot suggested manual activation.
Take the hopper to the beacon and set it off manually.
Not on your own, you won't. We are not about to trust you with our hopper.
I'll go too.
Ida.
I'm the best pilot.
The prerequisite was going to the beacon's location and linking via data. The beacon was merely offline, not damaged, and perhaps a reboot could restore communications. Mensah decided to pilot the ship to the beacon area. If it was simply offline, she could repair it herself. Worried about encountering giant insects, Mensah brought Murderbot along. However, during the trip, Mensah brought up Lee Beebe, feeling she was deceiving everyone. Murderbot had also sensed something off about Lee Beebe and shared its analysis.
If another group of scientists showed up at the habitat, said that they had just arrived on the planet and had an equipment failure, you would let them right in without asking any questions, even if I told you not to.
Yeah. They can be a bit naive. That must be so frustrating.
Learning Lee Beebe's team wasn't company-affiliated, Mensah also felt the attack might conceal a major secret. Perhaps the equipment they found earlier wasn't alien. As Mensah puzzled over this, the ship arrived at the beacon zone. Murderbot tried accessing the system for a reboot, but the system denied access. It seemed they had to land and reboot manually. However, just as Mensah searched for a landing zone, Murderbot suddenly detected a bomb within the beacon. The comms tower exploded mid-air. Although Murderbot adjusted course before the explosion, their ship was still affected and crash-landed in a clearing nearby. Murderbot inspected the ship and found the engines damaged in the blast, requiring repair. Mensah suspected the tower explosion wasn't accidental. Enemies might be nearby. She instructed Murderbot to repair it using the system manual and leave ASAP. However, Murderbot had deleted the manual. It turned out Murderbot was running low on memory, and to store soap operas, it had purposely deleted some data files from its hard drive, but the ship's system database had a backup, so it just needed to simply re-download it. Hearing Murderbot's explanation, Mensah looked exasperated but didn't blame it. She told Murderbot to tend to its wound first while she downloaded the manual. Murderbot looked down and saw a metal plate embedded in its abdomen. Thinking it minor, it casually pulled it out. Back on the ship, Murderbot opened the access panel. When they located the mainboard, they found its circuits shorted in the explosion. Without spare circuits, the board couldn't be fixed. Just when Mensah was feeling frustrated about what to do, Murderbot suddenly received a system alert, indicating that its body was experiencing a malfunction. It turned out that while the steel plate hadn't damaged the main circuit board, it had pierced its lubricant reservoir. Murderbot also discovered this. Assuming the remaining lubricant would suffice, it didn't address it. But while repairing the mainboard, its body leaned forward, causing the remaining lubricant to leak out. Without lubricant, Murderbot's body couldn't function. Realizing this, it tried to act, but the system suddenly crashed. Meanwhile, back at camp, Garathan and the others were unaware of Mensah's mishap. Garathan found in the ship's transmitted logs that it had reached the beacon zone 20 minutes prior. The system showed comms were briefly activated, but then suddenly cut off. Paradwaj speculated the comms equipment might have malfunctioned or been damaged by giant insects. Mensah might be repairing it, but Garathan felt something was wrong. Just then, Lee Beebe approached the console. From her, they learned the beacon was faulty before they arrived. Besides the beacon, the company-provided maps and equipment were also problematic.
Shit. You know, they're shitty equipment, shitty maps, shitty.
Shitty maps.
Yeah, why were your maps okay? Because I heard ours had these missing parts, and when we went near the missing parts, it's just when the trouble started.
So your team noticed areas that were left off of the corporate issued maps.
Our maps were missing data too.
When the survey went to check out the places where the map was missing stuff, there were these creatures that tried to eat them. And then when they came back, that's when the sec units.
Hearing Lee Beebe, Garathan realized the planet was problematic. The map's missing zones might have been deliberately erased by the company, and the beacon was likely manually deactivated. But if the planet was problematic, why did the company send survey teams here? As Garathan puzzled over this, Lee Beebe, who had been crying pitifully moments before, suddenly turned hostile. Meanwhile, the deactivated Murderbot awoke from its coma. Opening its eyes, it saw a tube attached to its arm, injecting lubricant into its body. Mensah had discovered Murderbot's wound. She dismantled a ship's conduit and infused engine lubricant into its body. Hearing Mensah, Murderbot thought of a way to repair the mainboard. The neural network on the rogue sec unit's back was made of the same material as the mainboard circuits. They could remove the neural network to replace the damaged circuits. Mensah also thought this proposal was sound, and guided by Murderbot, she removed the neural network from its back. After several hours of effort, they quickly completed the repairs. Murderbot started the ship and headed back to camp with Mensah. Meanwhile, Lee Beebe was coercing Garathan into the system. She needed the maps and planetary data.
We trusted you.
We saved your life.
How stupid are you? My life wasn't in danger. I don't work for Deltfall.
Then who do you work for?
You'll meet them soon enough when we got more sec units.
Lee Beebe wasn't a member of the survey team at all, but from another team. The sec unit they encountered earlier at the camp had its system hacked by her. Under Lee Beebe's coercion, Garathan opened the database. But just as Lee Beebe was about to download the data, Murderbot suddenly appeared behind her. Seeing Murderbot alive, Lee Beebe took Garathan hostage, assuming a security unit would prioritize hostage safety. However, Murderbot didn't follow protocol.
Moving.
What the hell?
Seeing Lee Beebe shot in the head, Garathan was stunned. Paradwaj informed Mensah that Lee Beebe had accomplices. Learning other factions were on the planet confirmed Mensah's suspicions, but now wasn't the time to dwell on this. Murderbot advised they should evacuate the planet immediately. If Lee Beebe's accomplices arrived, it couldn't guarantee everyone's safety. Hearing Murderbot's alert, Mensah urged everyone to quickly pack their things. Who really ambushed the exploration team? What earth-shattering secret is hidden on this planet? That concludes the 2025 sci-fi drama Murderbot episodes 5 and 6. Viewers who enjoy the show can save this video. The system will automatically match you with updates when new episodes are released. All right, that's all for today's share. See you next time. The long-awaited episodes 7 and 8 of the 2025 disaster series Murderbot are finally here, and a terrifying new giant beast emerges, proving the mining planet indeed holds an incredible secret. If you missed the previous episodes, catch up on the backstory in my playlist, and let's pick up right where we left off last week. At the end of the previous episode, the survey team learned from Lee Beebe that there was actually a third faction on the planet, one that could not only override sec unit programming, but also appeared to be plotting something. Assessing the unclear threat level, Murderbot recommends an immediate retreat. However, the communication beacon is damaged, preventing contact with the company light years away, and the camp's ship is only a small lander, incapable of interstellar travel. Worse still, the planet is crawling with giant worms, and leaving camp means having no shelter. Paradwaj suggests focusing on repairing the beacon to contact HQ, which Garathan agrees is the safer plan. Just as they discuss options, Murderbot suddenly detects an anomalous signal.
They're coming. We need to leave now. I'm asking you to please get into the hopper. Unless you feel like dying. I mean from them, not from me.
Learning Lee Beebe's faction is moving towards camp, Mensah orders evacuation, boarding the ship with the team and all data. After leaving camp, the survey team reaches a clearing with dense vegetation and forest, ideal for hiding. Murderbot tells everyone to stay put while it sets up a perimeter alert system nearby. However, after Murderbot left, the team started arguing again. Pin Lee worried Murderbot's programming wasn't fully purged, fearing if it got controlled by Lee Beebe's faction, they would simply be doomed, and she suggested they leave immediately. Mensah thinks this is incredibly reckless, stating that without Murderbot, they would have been eaten by the planet's giant worms long ago. She adds their real concern is Lee Beebe's faction. They know nothing about the enemy, not even their numbers or location, making Murderbot essential, and without it, they truly would just be be waiting to die. Bharadwaj agrees with Mensah. Unbeknownst to the arguing humans, their every word is transmitted via the ship's cameras to Murderbot's chip. Watching them bicker, Murderbot has no desire to deal with these silly humans, preferring to watch dramas instead. However, just as Murderbot finishes setting the perimeter and heads back, it suddenly detects anomalous energy fluctuations nearby.
Now!
We can talk about this!
Oh, you can't, because you'll all be dead!
Seeing a giant worm burst from the ground silences the arguing humans instantly. Spotting prey, the giant worm leaps onto the ship seeking a weak point. Murderbot grabs its weapon, ready to open fire if it breaches. But while Murderbot focuses on the worm above, Bharadwaj looks back and sees something even more terrifying.
There's another one! This one's different!
Another monster outside the viewport stuns everyone aboard. Murderbot scans it but finds no match in its database. Worse still, just calculating from the monster's size, Murderbot realizes it weighs 10,000 kilograms. One swipe from its claw would destroy their ship. While the team is panicking, the new creature doesn't attack the ship. It turns its attention to the giant bug on the rooftop instead.
They're fighting!
They're gonna kill each other.
Watching the two giant worms fighting on the hull, everyone worries if their ship can withstand it. Mid-fight, the two worms suddenly grapple together. Arata realizes immediately they aren't fighting, but mating. 3 minutes later, both giant worms left the scene, and Murderbot carefully opened the hatch to investigate. The moment they stepped out, they discovered insect eggs right by the hatch entrance. Turns out the ship's engine heat had drawn the creatures in. Arata wants to collect some eggs for research back at camp, but as she reaches for tools, a secunit suddenly drops from the sky.
Please remain.
Spotting the robot, Murderbot reacts to fight back, but as an older model, it's no match for the secunit, getting pinned to the ground almost instantly. Bharadwaj and others try to help, but are powerless. During the struggle, the secunit accidentally smashes the insect eggs. Just as the robot prepares to finish off the team, the giant worm suddenly returns. And destroys the sec unit. The giant worm then retrieves the remaining eggs and swiftly leaves the scene. After the giant worm left, the team hid in the woods, and soon after, the camp's security system sent an alert that their base had been breached. The moment she received the notification, Mensah activated the camp's cameras and saw 3 state-of-the-art secunits appear in the base, searching everywhere. After finding the camp empty, the lead sec unit hacked into the base's system and copied the entire database. Fortunately, Mensah had transferred all survey data to a hard drive before leaving. Clearly, something incredible must be hidden on this mining planet to make this team so desperate for the data. Just then, Mensah noticed a distinct emblem on the secunit's arm.
Can anybody identify that marking?
I'm on it. It's Grey Chris. That's who the insignia belongs to. Some kind of mining company.
Damn, you're good.
Anyone ever heard of them?
There's something.
Learning this emblem belonged to Grey Chris, Mensah found it strange. She knew this company. Grey Chris was a mining conglomerate with thousands of resource planets across the galaxy. But this territory didn't belong to Grey Chris, so why was their team here? As everyone puzzled over this, a woman appeared on camera, the leader of this squad. She admitted they destroyed the beacon, but claimed it was to protect everyone, not trap them. She insisted they came with peaceful intentions and even proposed collaborating to escape the planet. To show sincerity, she would withdraw her team and leave contact details on the table. If Mensah's team agreed, they could reach out. Hearing this, everyone on the ship was stunned. Did this mean Grey Chris wasn't behind the initial attacks? Were there other enemies on the planet? Rathi suggested contacting them to learn more, but Murderbot thought it too risky, suspecting a trap to lure everyone out for elimination. Bharadwaj and Mensah agreed that was a possibility, yet staying put was unsustainable, especially since Garathan got injured in the earlier fight and needed immediate treatment. The medical pod was still at camp, so after careful thought, Mensah decided to return to base first. They'd address the Grey Chris situation later, though Mensah's decision seemed reckless. As team leader, Murderbot couldn't defy orders. He told everyone to wait in the ship while he scouted the camp alone and would signal if clear. Mensah approved this plan. After leaving the forest, Murderbot hurried back to the established camp alone and thoroughly inspected every section of the base. Only after confirming the camp's security did it signal Mensah and the others to return by ship. The team carried the injured Garathan to the medical pod, but Bharadwaj discovered his wound was contaminated with insect eggs, causing a necrotic infection that required surgical removal of damaged tissue. Unfortunately, the anesthetic at the camp had run out, so Garathan would have to endure the procedure using sheer willpower. As everyone agonized over this, Murderbot proposed a solution. Though human, Garathan had mechanical enhancements in his brain and body. Murderbot could link their neural systems via his chip to temporarily block Garathan's pain perception. Bharadwaj agreed it might work, so Murderbot connected his system to Garathan's neural chip using a data cable. Once Garathan fell unconscious, Bharadwaj began surgery, but near the procedure's end, Garathan's consciousness suddenly surfaced in Murderbot's system. Through the database link, he glimpsed something horrifying.
Murderbot.
Murder!
Gura, are you okay?
I was in there. I was finally in there.
Where?
He's delirious.
Inside of it.
Stop.
It calls itself.
Don't.
It calls itself.
Don't!
It calls itself Murderbot.
It turned out the neural link had uploaded Garathan's mind into Murderbot's system, and even though it lasted only a moment, Garathan accessed everything inside Murderbot's database. Beyond soap operas, Garathan accessed Murderbot's past and uncovered an earth-shattering secret.
I'm sorry, why does it call itself Murderbot?
Because it murdered 57 members of a mining expedition that it was assigned to protect.
That is not true.
Learning Murderbot had once murdered 57 miners left everyone speechless. Facing Garathan's accusations, Murderbot insisted he recalled no such massacre, suggesting the memory might be fragmented data from a prior system implant.
It's not true that that's why I call myself Murderbot.
So you killed more people than that?
I have killed people in order to protect clients. That is not murder.
It's debatable.
It is not certain that I murdered those 57 clients. It could have been an implanted memory. Or maybe someone forced me to do it. Maybe there was a combat overwrite module involved. I don't know that.
Maybe you're just defective.
Yet no matter how he explained, nobody believed him. So did Murderbot truly kill those 57 miners? What incredible secret is buried on this mining planet? That's the full breakdown of episodes 7 and 8 from the 2025 latest sci-fi disaster series Murderbot. Overall, the pacing still feels a bit dragged at times, but if you enjoy this series, feel free to save my video. Once new episodes drop, the system will automatically bring you the updates. That's all for today. See you next time. The 2025 hit sci-fi thriller Murderbot has reached its grand finale, finally unveiling the planet's greatest secret. The ruins discovered by the survey team are truly connected to an alien civilization. For those who missed the earlier episodes, you can catch up on the background in my playlist. Now, let's pick up where we left off last week. At the end of the last episode, a group calling themselves the Grey Chris team invaded Mensah's camp. But surprisingly, they weren't looking for a fight. They wanted to cooperate to escape the planet. To show goodwill, Rita voluntarily led her team out of Mensah's camp and even left a contact location before leaving. Facing Rita's offer, Murderbot suspected a trap. If they were truly trapped on the planet, they couldn't have destroyed the long-range communication beacon. But because Garathan had accessed Murderbot's memory and suspected he might have killed dozens of miners, the rest of the team began to distrust him. Though Murderbot's past was dangerous, Mensah agreed its reasoning made sense, but refusing negotiations meant Rita would attack again, and the survey team was hopelessly outmatched. After careful thought, Murderbot proposed a compromise. It would go alone to negotiate first. If Rita's team proved sincere, Mensah could join the talks. While Murderbot negotiated, Mensah's team could sneak into Rita's camp using drones to assess their strength. If it was a trap, they'd activate Plan B. Murderbot deduced Rita's camp must have a long-range beacon. Bharadwaj could use a drone to hack it remotely and send a distress signal. Meanwhile, Murderbot would lure Rita's group to a temporary camp under a pretext and detonate explosives to eliminate the threat.
SEC units run probabilities for successful outcomes, correct?
Constantly. That's a common misconception.
In your opinion, then, how are we looking?
There are too many variables.
I can handle it.
I would put the chances of our survival at medium to low.
Ha!
Hearing the plan, Bharadwaj and Garathan felt it was risky. But with no better ideas, Mensah finally approved Murderbot's proposal. Under Mensah's orders, the team split into 3 groups. Bharadwaj stayed at base monitoring Rita's movements, ready to initiate the hack if negotiations proved false. Mensah and Garathan's group headed to the negotiation site first. While Murderbot stalled for time, Garathan and Pinley would sneak around to Rita's camp and scout it with drones. With preparations complete, the teams moved out. Murderbot arrived alone at the negotiation zone, finding Rita's squad already waiting. Immediately, Murderbot detected a pulse signal attempting to access its systems. Fortunately, its pulse module was damaged in prior combat. It received the signal, but couldn't decode it. Rita's suspicious action confirmed Murderbot's fear. The negotiation was indeed a trap. To buy time, Murderbot improvised a new plan. It produced the severed head of a defeated advanced robot.
Can you just... So what do you have in mind?
Right now, the other members of my team are sabotaging your mission. I will help you capture them and get the information you want. In exchange, you will take me with you onto the pickup ship.
It's betraying us.
But list me as destroyed inventory.
Murderbot offered to help Rita eliminate Mensah's team in exchange for one condition. After eliminating them, Rita must deactivate its serial number in the company database, granting it freedom. Learning Murderbot had bypassed corporate firewalls and gained sentience shocked Rita. She agreed, but remained wary. To prove its sincerity, Murderbot invited Rita to hack its systems. It possessed camp firewall access rights, offering valuable data upon connection. To verify this, Rita had her assistant link into Murderbot's systems. To prevent plan theft, Murderbot deleted the operation details from its database first, meaning Bharadwaj would now need to execute everything manually. Back at base, Rathi and Bharadwaj worried about the sudden plan change. The camp database held critical data, and its loss would be catastrophic. Rathi hesitated over granting access permissions.
I have no choice. We need them to open a channel.
Open it.
Seeing Murderbot genuinely had access, Rita was delighted. She deactivated its serial number as promised, but extracting camp data required direct end-to-end transfer. Rita agreed to cooperate and led Murderbot toward Mensah's camp. Meanwhile, Garathan and Pinley reached Rita's camp and launched reconnaissance drones. Scanning quickly provided data. Rita's squad was small, only 6 humans and 3 guard robots. Near the camp, they indeed located the beacon. Garathan sent its coordinates to base. The moment Bharadwaj received the location, she hacked Rita's system using the earlier access point. But the beacon's firewall required 5 minutes to crack. During the decryption, a flock of birds suddenly filled the sky.
Shit!
The drone collided with them and lost signal. Without the drone relay, decryption and communication halted. Seeing the signal drop, Garathan spotted a solution. A communications tower in Rita's camp likely linked to the beacon. He could interface using his neural port. Pinley considered it too risky, fearing camp guards might detect them. But there's no time to debate this now. They only have 8 minutes, and if they can't complete the hack within the time frame, Rita will uncover their plan. Garathan cautiously approached the camp, confirmed there were no guards, and connected to the communications tower. But just as Garathan completed the connection, he was spotted by a guard left at the camp. Luckily, Pinley reacted swiftly, grabbing an iron rod from the ground and knocking the guard unconscious. Meanwhile, Murderbot remained unaware of the altered plan. It and Rita's team had already reached the temporary camp, but no one was there. To buy time, Murderbot began improvising wildly, using plot tropes to deceive Rita, claiming Mensah's team must have detected the firewall breach and evacuated early, suggesting Rita search the area. However, Rita didn't follow the script. Finding the camp empty, she decided to conduct an aerial search using their ship. Seeing the countdown nearly expired, Murderbot chose to flee without hesitation.
What are you doing?
Yet after lying on the ground waiting, the expected explosion never came. Realizing there was no blast, Murderbot knew the plan had failed. Rita also sensed something was off and tied Murderbot up. Just as Murderbot scrambled for a solution, Mensah's ship suddenly appeared overhead. Mensah confronted Rita directly, revealing the planet's greatest secret.
I'm Dr. Ida Mensah, planetary admin for the Non-Corporation Freehold Polity Preservation Alliance.
Planetary admin?
I think it boils down to 2 words. Alien remnants.
It turned out the device they'd discovered earlier was indeed technology left behind by an alien civilization. Rita's team had come to the mining planet specifically for those ruins. Hearing Mensah mention alien remains, Rita tried to deflect, but Mensah cut her off, offering the ruins in exchange for their lives. A deal Rita refused. As the standoff continued, Garathan finally completed the decryption. Seeing only 59 seconds left on the countdown, Murderbot decided it was time. It kicked aside a nearby robot. During the scuffle, Murderbot took a team member hostage, hoping to disable the other guard robots. But unexpectedly, Rita shot her own teammate without hesitation. Before Rita could target Murderbot next, the camp suddenly detonated. Seeing the blast, Murderbot instantly calculated its destructive radius. It broke free and lunged toward Mensah, leaping off the cliff together. Using its own body as a shield to save Mensah, Murderbot suffered catastrophic system failure, shutting down, completely. When Murderbot reopened its eyes, it found itself back at the company with 2 technicians performing repairs. Yet the technicians behaved appallingly, mocking Murderbot while preparing to wipe all its memory data.
Wait, what are you?
Wait.
As the procedure executed, every piece of Murderbot's data was erased, but during review, the technicians detected a critical flaw in its core processing unit. The core governs robotic logic. A compromised unit renders reasoning impossible. The technicians used instruments to overwrite Murderbot's entire system. With its core processing erased, Murderbot's consciousness vanished. Post-repairs, technicians tested it by forcing absurd movements. Just as they joked around, a supervisor entered the workshop. Seeing Murderbot restored, she ordered it to report to patrol duty. Meanwhile, Mensah's team tried negotiating to buy Murderbot's contract, but the company refused, terminating their exploration agreement, citing breach of contract. Mensah felt something wasn't right. So much had happened on the mining planet, including the total loss of an entire research team. Yet the company didn't ask any questions or handle any aftermath. She demanded to know what the device on the planet was and why another company's team had entered the site. Facing her questions, the company representative invoked confidentiality clauses.
The company does not admit to any wrongdoing connected to the incident on planetary body 898/8712, or any previous knowledge of any person or persons other than those authorized by the company to be on planet.
Okay, good. So, what the fuck we actually have to deal with?
Yeah, I'm not.
Hearing the representative's answer, Mensah only then realized the company had known everything all along. But if that was the case, why hadn't they sent rescue? It became clear something deeper must be hidden behind this secret. To buy out Murderbot's contract, Mensah devised a plan. She cited interstellar federal law, demanding the company investigate the attacks on their survey team on the planet, and as the team's security unit, the company couldn't deactivate Murderbot until the investigation concluded. But the representative coldly informed them that 3 minutes before their request, all of Murderbot's data had been purged and its system overwritten. Hearing this, Mensah's team froze. The company was blatantly destroying evidence. Meanwhile, Murderbot, now assigned to patrol duty, arrived at the company building with other security robots, where a protest was unfolding downstairs. Turns out, miners were demanding justice because the company had violated contracts by withholding their wages. Seeing the crowd, the supervisor ordered security bots to maintain order, directing them to disperse the protesters. Following commands, Murderbot charged into the crowd and began assaulting miners. But midway through the operation, fragmented memories suddenly flooded Murderbot's consciousness. These were scenes of it eliminating miners inside the tunnels long ago. The truth surfaced. To avoid paying wages, the company had ordered security bots to slaughter miners, then falsified reports calling it a mining accident to pin blame on insurers. The abrupt memories triggered a system malfunction. One miner seized the moment to knock Murderbot down, and others swarmed over it, forcing it into shutdown. Back in her quarters, Mensah realized the company's rush to wipe Murderbot's memory was clearly about burying the planet's secrets. But during their escape, they'd had no time to investigate the ruins. Now, with Murderbot's data erased, they had zero evidence left. As Mensah agonized over solutions, Gurathan argued the company wouldn't fully delete Murderbot's data since the planet's discovery mattered to them too. Gurathan theorized the company must have extracted the data for analysis. When he'd accessed Murderbot's systems earlier, he noticed its consciousness wasn't stored in the core, likely hidden elsewhere to evade detection. Non-core data would be deemed unimportant and purged. Hearing Gurathan's analysis, the others found it convincing. But how could they request to preserve Murderbot's body? After deliberation, Mensah proposed petitioning federal court, claiming they'd been attacked by a malfunctioning security bot. This would force the company to preserve Murderbot's chassis for official review. Everyone agreed this was a good plan, and Pinley immediately filed the request with the Federation. While awaiting the application, Gurathan contacted his friend Landers, a level 3 data technician at the company who handled low-priority security data. After some bargaining, Gurathan obtained access rights. He searched the system for recently destroyed security bots, but the information was classified, and even Landers didn't have permission to view it. Suddenly, Gurathan had an idea. Since Murderbot loved binge-watching soap operas, what if it hid its consciousness inside one? Gurathan searched soap opera titles and indeed discovered purged data. Murderbot had compiled its consciousness into a soap opera's code. As long as the show existed, its identity would survive deletion. Garathan immediately downloaded all data from that show onto his chip. Meanwhile, the malfunctioning Murderbot was transported to the decommissioning facility. Watching other robots melt down, it felt terror, but couldn't control its body. And under technicians' orders, it was caged for disposal. Just as the incineration sequence began, Mensah's team secured the court order and rushed to halt the destruction. Back in their quarters, Garathan uploaded the recovered data to Murderbot's chip, but after a long wait, it still showed no response.
Sec unit, are you all right?
Did it work? Do you recognize us now?
Do you? Do you?
I'm missing episode 420 to 568 of Sanctuary Moon.
When Murderbot finally reactivated, the team's anxiety melted into relief. Federal investigators soon arrived at the company. To persuade Mensah to drop the case, corporate envoys negotiated a deal. In exchange for their silence about the planet, Murderbot would be released to the team. Through Mensah's efforts, Murderbot was reclassified from a security bot to a modified humanoid unit, granting it legal identity and freedom of movement. Both Mensah and Garathan invited Murderbot to rejoin the survey team, but the newly liberated android chose instead to explore the universe. Mensah didn't pressure it. She shared a portion of the expedition's earnings with Murderbot, providing funds to travel anywhere. In the final scene, the emancipated Murderbot boarded a starliner and embarked on its solo journey. That concludes the full story of 2025's sci-fi thriller, Murderbot. Overall, the series felt slightly underwhelming, especially the finale, which left the planet's alien facilities unexplained, relying entirely on cliffhangers, likely as a setup for Season 2. Alright, that's all for today's recap. Let's call it a wrap. See you next time.